Okay, welcome to our second Socratic discussion over To Kill a Mockingbird.
So, what makes people think racism is okay, Ashton?
They probably don't. They probably think that colored people they probably don't care about racism. How about you, Trey? How about you, Tucker?
Some people just think it's okay to say something like they just think it's okay to say it because they don't think colored people care, but in reality, they really do care about what they're saying.
Yeah.
Why do you think that people think colored people don't care?
Because they just white people just think that it's okay to say like the N-word out in public, but like in reality, no, like people care about it and they just think it's racist overall. And
I agree with Tucker. Like when you grow up and your parents like have that say that stuff around you, you growing up think it's okay.
I agree with you.
I agree with you.
Like, when you're raised around the mentality that is okay and it's not wrong, then you just think it's okay. And if it's a normal thing, then you're taught that it's normal without recognizing it.
I agree. Like thoughts come down through different generations. So if your parents believe one thing, then they're probably going to teach it to you, which will alter your thought process about everything before you can even
It also can come with your peers, like the way your peers act can like really feed off of you.
who you surround yourself with.
One of the evidences that I used was when they were in school and they had like heard what the other kids were saying about the trial, so they questioned whether or not Atticus was doing the right thing, just based off of what the other students were saying.
Yeah, like Jem, Atticus would really had a I don't know the word he used, but he showed Jem that it wasn't okay for racism, but the other people in Macomb, they're raised around racism, so they thought it was okay, but Atticus really taught Jem that it wasn't okay and what was actually right.
Another time in the story was when Mayla was lying in the courtroom because she felt that's what her father wanted, as she thought it was okay to be racist in that sense because she wanted it to look as if she'd done nothing wrong because that's what her father wanted. Since she'd grown up with him, she wanted to make him proud even though she knew it wasn't the best, which caused her to lie.
She knew she was going to win too because he was colored. And everybody thinks like the colored people were just in the wrong for everything.
they just kind of thought they were just, they were different. They weren't like the white people.
No matter what, if he was even right, I feel like the judge was going to, no matter what, make him guilty.
Yeah.
Just because he's colored.
As soon as they entered the trial, they just knew it.
They just kind of like back in that era, they just thought like if you were colored, you're just automatically guilty, even if some white guy did it. But
How do you feel about it?
yeah,
I agree with what you guys are saying.
Yeah, that's good.
In another sense of like the parents growing up with it, if someone lived in a household, grew up in a household with like two Republican parents or two Democrat parents, then the child's most likely to end up deciding to be a part of that political party. Just how that would be for racism, thinking that that's okay, if that's what they grew up with, and they're automatically going to think that that's what's normal or right, which.
and even like today, like back then, like their parents, they raised their kids on that. But even today, some parents still preach it to their kids as saying like, it's like black people are different than white, and it's not. Like the parents still preach it to their children.
So we've come to the conclusion that it's around your peers and your parents and your surroundings that really make you believe it's okay.
The people around you influence you.
Which that leads into our next question. How does your family affect your beliefs?
Yeah, like growing up, your family, you learn basically everything from your family, like how to brush your teeth, ride a bicycle, stuff like that. And parents want you to like believe what they believe, so they'll persuade you and tell you over and over again that this is right, do it this way. Because they want you to grow up to kind of be like them in a way.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's like growing up with your family, you're obviously going to trust them. So you trust what they say. So you're just going to go along with it, and you're not going to think twice about it.
It's hard to go against your family. So
It shapes your thoughts and what you think is right to believe or do or even act. And that's why most people's morals are usually similar their parents.
How do you feel about this, Mercedes?
I agree with that because family affects our beliefs because they shape the way your family is and they shape the way you think and what you believe.
Do you have any thoughts, Trey?
The evidence that I used was like throughout the story, Jem slowly matured because like he saw the way that Atticus treated others.
Yeah, like Atticus. Yeah, Jem really fed off of Atticus, and when he was growing up, his maturity was really making him realize what was actually right and what they were doing. It was basically his actions, like in the trial and everything like that. He really showed Jem that he was serious about this, and it wasn't right.
Like what I said in my point of view presentation, he was seeking his approval, and I think that's why he felt that the trial was so important, not necessarily because it was important to him, but it was important to his father, therefore making him want it for his dad.
How do you feel, Ashton, about this topic?
I agree with everyone. That's about it.
Why?
Because it's just good information and it's true.
What do you think, Kevin?
Would you like to elaborate on that?
It's really saying everything that I want to say.
Okay, our next question. How does education affect someone's beliefs?
I said that education can change the way people view other places or things, and it just simply allows people to expand what they.
It was like
know.
Macy.
I agree with that.
Yeah, being more educated is always something good. Being educated about something can change the way you think or believe about it in many ways. It can persuade you to think something differently. Like, it just, once you get both sides, both points of views, it's a lot easier to elaborate on it.
I could tie mine in with the both point of view sides. If you hear, say, one side, then that's originally what you're going to think is true, just because that's what you heard first, which would make it harder to listen or change your idea, just how that was for the judge and the jury when they heard first Mayala's side. Then they were more listening for everything that Tom said that would have lied to that story instead of thinking what Mayala could have said that would apply to Tom's. So hearing which side first really affects.
Like, yeah, like Jem and Scout, they're more educated about everything because Atticus has really told them and showed them that it's not right to be racist.
Carter, do you have any evidence for this topic?
You could tell the way that Atticus acts. He has an education, and you can tell that Mr. Ewell likely doesn't have an education with how he acts and treats his family members.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you have any evidence, Ashton?
No, I don't.
Eric?
You have any, Trey?
What about you, Tucker?
Mine was a lot like Carter's.
One thing that you could relate to real life more is if, like, siblings, you ever think if you're getting in an argument, then, which happens, the first side will be like how it was related in the story. Parents will be listening to the lie or what doesn't add up in that situation than of the second person's.
Yeah.
Okay.
How can being judged affect you?
I said being judged can put a lot of pressure on a person, whether it's in the court or just on the street or something.
Yeah.
And like, we really saw this with Mayala's testimony because she started crying and yelling at Atticus because.
I said being judged is something nobody wants, even if you're the toughest cookie. Being judged will hurt you inside. It will hurt you emotionally if you don't show it. Even if you don't show it, being judged can lower your confidence and make you more scared to do something. So the people that actually take things in, it hurts them really bad, like emotionally.
If someone's judging you, it'll affect you. I agree with emotionally, but not only that, but even physically, as it did, like, for Mayala, her dad was so disappointed in her choice that then he beat her. And not only did that change probably her emotional, how she felt about him and his choices, but also, like, she won't be able to go on with life the same way because she'll always have that in the back of her head, knowing that if I make the wrong decision, then I could get beat again or something like that.
Like
could happen.
being judged really doesn't have to like affect you all the time. Like Atticus, he really didn't affect him. He knew what the like price was going to come with him sticking up for colored people. He knew that he was going to get judged and he was going to get criticized and everything like that. But he knew what was right and he was going to do what was right.
I disagree with you saying that it doesn't affect him though, because some people are just better at showing that than others. Because I'm sure like that affected his children, which would have affected how he was feeling and dealing with all of it. I just think that some people are better at hiding it than others.
I said didn't disagree. Or I said didn't judge as much. I didn't say it didn't affect him all the way. Just putting that out there.
I don't think so.
Run it back.
Anything else I was going to say?
So that was it.
Okay. Ashton, how can innocence change over time?
You can, honestly don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
How come you don't know? Like, what are you confused about something?
I just didn't have it.
I didn't really understand the question, how your innocence can change it all.
The question was kind of confusing to me too. It was just kind of like, I mean, your innocence doesn't really change. I mean, you kind of can.
I said the way we think about ideas or subjects can change depending on what happens in the world, and we can change over time. Innocence is like the definition will never change, but the way we view it can like.
I agree with that, but I thought about it in a different way too. Like, if you were to see someone like get shot or something, how they did with Tom, then that will automatically change your mindset for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
thinking that could happen, have seen something like that. Whereas if you haven't, then you can get your own idea of what it would be like and like live in your own bubble, sort of.
Going back to like the one selection we did earlier in the year, like taking risk and the car accident and being a survivor's guilt, like being the only person to survive, like really take a toll on you because you took those many people's lives. You have that innocence. Like as you get older, you have a lot more experience, a lot more things that are packed on you.
Jem's innocence changed over time because as he was getting older and showing his maturity, Atticus started to fill him in on more things about the trial and just about life in general, which brought him to kind of try to share that with Scout and
How do you feel about this, Mercedes? You have anything to add? Any evidence? Nothing at all? Anything?
I agree with a lot of it.
After hearing this action, do you think you could add on to anything?
Carter, did this help you understand the question anymore talking about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Did it help you, Ashton?
Yeah, it helped me really a lot.
Can you give me some
Yeah,
ways
it's
that
a
helped you?
lot. Understand.
Can you give me some ways that it helped you, Ashton?
No.
Is there anything else that we want to discuss? That was my last question.
Or do you have anything you'd like to add to anything?
But the overall theme or your overall response to this.
It was a good discussion.
Those.
Yeah, like a little bit.
I found
I thought it was a lot more about like how you take something in and how it affects you and how you respond to it, I guess.
I agree with the response that you have to like think everything over and all of the different things that could happen. If I choose this, then this could happen from it. But if I choose this, then just get all the pros and cons of everything before you actually make your decision.
try to get like both sides of something. Don't always just jump to one conclusion.
Make sure you're completely educated before you decide.
Let's go.
Good.
Emerson, we carried that.
Okay, outside circle, what did the inside circle do well?
This thing's going.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
there were 20 discussion connectors. There what? Ah, good, okay, so we used our discussion connector statements, great. Yeah, everyone was invited in, good. Oh, lots of evidence, yes, I love that. That is what our goal is. We're using what we've experienced to dig deeper and get that collective understanding of what we've been experiencing and how we apply that to life. Good, what else?
And with that evidence, like one person would say evidence, but they also build off that more, they get more of a conversation.
Yeah, building, hitchhiking on it or digging deeper, either way you want to say that. Yeah, very good. Can you, outside circle, could you hear the inside circle?
Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah. Wonderful.
I mean, the mass was kind of.
Yeah, and I just realized that not everybody, actually,
I'm
just now I
wearing a mask,
realized that
right.
not everybody.
See, I just didn't have it on because I know I was gonna be speaking a lot.
I just took
I
mine
had
off
to
with
carry this
this
conversation.
Yeah, I can, for some reason, I don't know why I didn't just all of a sudden, I just now realized.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
surprised.
which we should have those on. Okay, so, outside circle, what are you going to want to keep in mind for your participation in the inside circle?
What?
Use a lot of evidence.
Yep, continue using evidence, building off of it, good,
Include everybody.
including everyone.
Ask what their thoughts are on the topic.
Yeah, open-ended thoughts or questions to get the thoughts.
Make sure everyone understands the context of the question.
Okay, just a second, what was that, Hayden?
Make sure everybody understands the context of the question.
Yes,
before
yeah,
moving
that's-
on to the next.
Yeah, that's important, very good. Okay. Good, and the clarifying question on the innocence was good. That is so important in today's world of over information. We have such a flood of information that we get confused, and then we don't stop to say, oh, wait a minute, what is it that we're talking about? What is the question? And then we just push forward, and then we get all confused, and we don't make sense, and then people take what we didn't make sense with, and they get all confused. So clarifying questions is a huge skill that we need to practice all the time. So wonderful. Okay, so very quickly and quietly switch places. The inside circle that's going outside, make sure you know, are you an evidence tracker? Discussion connector statement, tracker, or content
That's us.
Oh,
I just saw you with the truck.
Same.
We're gonna let you guys off. No, you just go on your literature journal.
Write down.
Oh my god, guys, we gotta hurry this up. There's a focus line.
No,
then you're gonna manage for it. There's one over there.
No, I didn't. This is what
They have a computer charger.
Just.
Thank you. You want
Put it.
to go behind?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, are we ready? Outside circle, you know what you're tracking? You have your literacy journal open? Okay.
So I just like write down the names and stuff that we're talking about.
Are you content summarizer? Yeah, you're summarizing, paraphrasing what they're saying. Who's saying what?
Wait.
Yeah, or make some.
So do you want this very,
I'll just be
you
like,
want the very last
welcome
box to
to
be filled in by the end of this?
Socratic Discussion
Because
over to kill Mockingbird and our first.
We'll have other writers. All
I just
right.
wrote down whatever was saying like somewhere.
Yeah,
If you
that's
can
good.
make that into a bullet point list, that's all you need to do. All right,
Awesome.
are we ready?
Are you doing yours?
Okay. Round two, may begin.
Welcome to our second Socratic discussion. The question: what makes people think racism is okay? Your claim.
I feel that some people think it's okay because they have been raised that way. They've been around their parents who may be racist, and they may have like
have grown up with it. I also feel that some people are just afraid of people who are different from them. What do you guys think?
I agree with that. Because they, you learn from like generations before you, whether you think racism is okay.
To add on to that, I also believe that if you're raised into like thinking that racism is okay, you're gonna take that on in your future. And in To Kill a Mockingbird, some people were only racist because it was a more popular thing to do.
Yeah, because like your family and peers strongly affect what you believe, especially when you're growing up.
Yeah, and to build off Hayden, like in To Kill a Mockingbird, the town of Macomb, their town was all very racist, and so everyone was influenced by each other. And I feel that the people who did disagree with them, besides Atticus, I feel like everyone else who disagreed with the racist people were afraid to speak up because they were like the outsiders of the group.
Yeah, because at that time it was very popular for racism to exist in that part of the United States.
I think sometimes it's just a need for acceptance. They don't want to be the odd one out.
Yeah.
And
They don't want to disappoint their family.
yeah, they want to be the one who isn't like a disgrace to their name.
Yeah, like they told Atticus that he was a disgrace to his family because he was fucking a black man.
Yeah, and like in today's world, there's still racism everywhere. Like not only with whites towards blacks, but also like blacks towards whites and other cultures along with that. It's like on the news today, and everyone's starting to notice it, and we're finally starting to like try to do something about it.
Yeah, and to add on to that, our friends and family members' opinions encourage the way we think and believe. And some people find racism as like a joke and don't take it seriously, but it can really hurt people you don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Javen, what do you think?
I agree with it because the way you're raised can affect the way you like or think. So I just agree with it. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
That ties into our next question: how does family affect your beliefs? I believe that our family can affect your beliefs and values directly and indirectly. Parents directly teach their children values and how to be the best version of themselves, and parents also directly teach you good behavior and how to act respectfully and responsibly. And they can indirectly affect you because, like your children observe them and watch them interact and communicate with others.
If you grow up in a very Republican family like I do, your beliefs are going to be more Republican most likely.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you grow up hearing your family's opinions every day, it becomes part of your belief system, and you might not know any better, and you might not think differently until you get out in the real world and hear other people's opinions.
Yeah, I agree with that because your family's there from the earliest point in your life. They're always going to have influence on what you think.
I think the Finches are a good example of how family affects your beliefs because Atticus tries so hard to have his kids understand that everyone should be treated equally. And even though they live in Macomb where not everyone is treated equally, they still agree with Atticus.
I agree with your idea about Finch, but I also believe that the book demonstrates the character of Atticus and how he influences children in many ways, and he teaches them how to be equal, respectful, and generous. In every single step and experience of their life, Atticus is always criticizing the little things and teaches them how to be the same in the house as on the streets.
Yeah, I agree with that because Atticus was the exception in Macomb. He believed that people should be judged by their character instead of their race or skin color, and he taught his children this too, to think about more than just what people look like and what part of the skin is. Like, on the other hand, Bob Ewell was racist and expected his daughter to share his beliefs, which prompted her to lie in court.
So, in summary, we do believe that family affects your beliefs in many ways, and that ties into how education can affect our beliefs as well.
Keegan, what do you think on that?
I disagree with you. I don't know. I'm not.
I think that education can affect someone's beliefs because if they have more knowledge on one topic, they're gonna
Do you think that they're gonna know how to interact with other people and form a stronger relationship with someone.
I agree with that, but also like being in school, like you hear from all your classmates and even teachers sometimes that their beliefs and that maybe push on you to fit in.
Yeah, I feel like learning about history can help us like do better and learn for the future, so that like affects our beliefs on what people have done in the past and how we can try to fix that today.
I also believe that it's a key factor in your social identity, and it helps form a stronger relationship with someone. And with a higher level of education, the more positive your social identity will be.
And I think the Yule family is a good example of that. Like they don't go to school very often. They go one day a year, and they're very close-minded family. And
Another example is Atticus was a very smart man who showed he had great education when he was younger. And this affected his thoughts throughout the book, and it allowed Jim and Scott to learn from him. And so they grew the same beliefs in the family. And it was a good thing, you know.
What do you think, Jared?
I agree with you guys that education can affect how you believe and how you see the situation.
Yeah, I agree.
In the book, it doesn't Atticus read to his kids to teach him more, or
Yeah.
help him learn more.
What do you think, Jaden?
I agree with what Tegan said. How he leads his kids every night up be more, I guess.
How can being judged affect you? I think being judged can affect you a lot because it will make you change yourself to fit in whatever kind of stereotype they want you to be. You can change anything from clothes, your hair, even the way you talk to fit in.
I agree with Jenna. It also can ruin like their self-esteem and their confidence in themselves. And it honestly, it can make them just change how they feel about everyday life and how, if they want to go out.
That on the Reagans, like being judged can also affect the way you express yourself. Like when you're being judged, you can feel isolated or criticized, and maybe even ashamed.
Yeah, I agree with that, because like if you get judged, you might sometimes feel like an outsider from the rest of the world because you just don't have the self-esteem and you don't have your self-worth as much as everyone else. Like you probably see yourself different from being judged so much. And that's how Mayella felt judged and pressured to believe what the racist people thought, and was very scared to tell the truth for fear of being an outcast.
And in To Kill a Mockingbird, like Atticus's family is being judged for defending a black man, and he realizes that he's not the only one being affected, and his family is being judged too. And he learns that they need to stay positive. And when Scout's cousin judges her and calls her father names that shapes the way Scout perceives things, she expresses herself in a way that makes her seem angry and furious.
Scout was generally judged by the kids in the school a lot.
What do you think, Owen?
I agree with what everyone just said, but I think it could also go both ways, like not only being judged in a negative way, but you could be judged in a positive way, which would make you want to be more of what you were just judged on, I guess.
To add on to Owen, like I also added that it could be judged in a positive way because being judged is generally a negative action, but some positive things that come out of it, like how you can better yourself and how you can also realize how amazing like you can actually be.
Another example of this is when Mayella is judged by her dad for her choice. This influence changes her ideals, and so does her need for acceptance by the community.
Yeah, so that kind of leads into the next question of how can innocence change over time? I feel that like when you are young, you see everyone the same, which is innocent. You are unspoiled by prejudice and judgment. Until you see it happen or you're even in that situation, it starts to change the way you see the world around you and shapes your beliefs.
To elaborate on Harper's idea, like through the exposure of social media, internet, celebrity culture, peer pressure, a children's innocence changes over time. And when you lose your innocence, you can lead to awareness of evil, pain, and suffering in the world. and a lack of innocence leads to greater knowledge and experience and can give you a chance to grow and gain knowledge.
I think Jem's a perfect example of how innocence changes. As we read the book, we saw Jem change his beliefs a lot, and when he realized the world isn't all good, he matured a lot during the trial. And then
That's a really good point, and I also believe that Boo Radley innocence changes throughout the book. Because as a boy, he was locked up in his house all alone, watching the world around him move on. And at the end of the book, he has seen and heard so many things and saved Jem. And Boo is then honored by Scout.
One that I can personally connect, in like in the real world. When I was younger, I saw the world as a more innocent place, and I thought everything was really good and everything was fine. But as I got older, I learned more about who people really were, and it really changed my life. What do you think, Stephen?
I agree with what you said.
anything else?
Do you agree, Javen?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that, so.
Owen, do you believe your innocence has changed over time?
Yes, because as you get older, you experience more, and as you experience more,
You want to experience, but you want to keep exploring.
yeah. But at the same time, you see when you see things that your younger self doesn't want to believe happens. Like,
Okay.
We're done.
Overall responses to the story.
I like the story.
I really liked how perspectives changed and how everyone encountered, like how like everyone in the story encountered a conflict and they had the ability to grow from it.
Yeah, I feel like they all grew off each other, and then which created different themes throughout the story, and like one big theme, like that you should really think about how other people feel, and like think about different thoughts people may have and what it can do to people. What do you guys think?
Well, I liked how they all grew a lot during the book.
I agree with like Harper and Jenna. It taught many lessons, and it had many things that just taught people.
Yeah, I feel like we learned a lot about each character, so it gave like us a better understanding of what really happened and how they really felt.
What do you think about the book, Stephen?
Did you like the book, Owen?
yeah, it gave a lot of details about what kind of character each person is, and how in the first part of the book it builds on character development, how everyone acts.
It's sort of like how it showed how racism can affect people, and not just black people, it affects white people as well.
I agree with that.
What are your thoughts on the book, Javen?
I like it so far.
So far.
Why do you like it, Javen?
Just a good book. Anything you guys want to go over again? Did everyone understand all the questions?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we will stop there. Okay, so outside circle, what did the inside circle do well?
I think they did a good job of using like real world evidence
Yeah.
and put it in their own life.
Yeah,
Bring it
jumping.
into
And then what about the book?
like connecting
Right, connecting the real life happenings, experiences to the experiences of the book. Good. What else did the insight circle do well?
They use a lot of good
Yeah.
Yeah, some more creative discussion connectors. What's that?
They gave like personal experiences.
Yeah, good personal experiences as evidence and justification.
They summarized what they went over
Yes, and summarizing is another skill that helps us understand what we're talking about. Too many times we move on and we don't ever summarize and go, okay, wait a minute, what did we just decide on? Yeah, and that happens in all places of life. So stopping, summarizing before moving on is a huge skill in discussion. What else did they do well?
Nothing we were thinking.
Oh, no. You did very well. Love the discussion, the justification, the evidence that you used. So fantastic job. What we're going to do next, what we're going to do next is to immediately go back to the rubric, and I want you to highlight the skills that you actually ended up using. Highlight them with a different color this time. You might have used some that you didn't even intend to specifically use.
Highlight the ones that we did if we highlight.
Yeah, highlight whatever you actually did.
Yeah, but like what do you want us to do? What we did is already highlighted.
Highlighted a different color.
Like you did yellow, highlight it with green and make it blue.
There you go. And then go to your reflection, the very end of the document. Fill out 5 through, is it 9? And that needs to be turned in. What is due on Monday?
R6.
2, 5.
R2 and 5, and your reflection here. So you have the rest of the time today in today's class period to work on your reflection and your R2 and R5. Great job, guys.